Hi, and welcome to Let's Get Distracted, episode 46. Tonight, we're talking about seeding change for the future. And with me, I have Cedric Nwafor. Welcome, Cedric.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm so happy to be here to come and learn and share my experience with your audience and you.
So happy to have you. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So, my name is Michelle Burke. I'm coming to you live from Annapolis, Maryland. Many of you know after 30 years as a CPA and corporate tax accountant, I went out on my own last year and formed Health and Taxes. The only two things certain in life, death and taxes. I'm here to help flip that to health and less taxes. On Sunday nights, I come to you live at 7:30 to bring you something educational in the health and wellness area. To take you away, get you distracted from the TV and learn something maybe new, something educational. And with that, I bring a guest. So tonight's guest, Cedric Nwafor, is here to tell us about Roots Africa and seeding for change for the future. So let me tell you a little bit about Cedric. Cedric has a passion for agriculture. He's a social entrepreneur and public speaker who has organized, facilitated, and spoken at various African and U.S. events. He's the founder of Roots Africa, a youth-led organization that combats hunger, poverty, and exclusion by connecting students and agriculture experts in the U.S. to farming communities in Africa. While earning his bachelor's degree, he visited farms in Idaho and Maryland, across the country, Rwanda, Liberia, Cameroon, Ghana, and Uganda to learn different farm life and management approaches. Along the way, Cedric became an agriculture evangelist, engaging in African youth in civic affairs in both cities and rural communities. He believes that engaging young generations in agriculture is vital to the African continent's future and social economic well-being of its people. Cedric was the commencement speaker at his graduation from the University of Maryland College of Agricultural Natural Resources with a BA in agriculture and resource economics, focusing in entrepreneurship. He has co-created and instructed a global agricultural course at UMD and is now managing the university's Agriculture Innovation Program. Cedric is currently enrolled in a nonprofit leadership graduate program in the School of Public Policy. He is also a Do Good Accelerator Fellow and an Academy for Innovators Fellow. Cedric was born and raised in Cameroon. So impressive, Cedric.
Thank you.
Cedric, that's a mouthful. You've accomplished a lot, and you have these huge dreams and ideas. Tell us a little bit more about your journey.
So I'm originally from Cameroon, born and raised. Growing up in Cameroon, we had 6 farms. We worked on these farms each and every day. This was tedious manual labor. Despite most of the hard work that we put in, there were still days when we could not guarantee our next meal. I remember heading back home sometimes carrying a heavy bag of corn, and just the pain I was feeling in my chest and on my neck made me to be crying while walking back home. Not because it was punishment, but just that pain. And to me, I used to think back, like, if you work as hard as we did, you should be able to guarantee your next meal. So fast forward a few years later, I made it to the US. And really started from the bottom to achieve that American dream. Worked at the restaurant in DC called Cozy, worked at the Holiday Inn, started as a housekeeper, moved as a front desk agent, then made it to the front desk. While I was a bellman at that hotel, I was also a bellman. While I was a bellman at that hotel, a group of farmers from Idaho came in, and they heard about my experience doing agriculture in Cameroon, and they asked me, like, have you ever heard about, what do you know about Idaho? And all I could think about was just mountains of French fries. Like, that's the only thing that came to mind. And And to myself and to them, it was funny for them too. So they were like, you should visit Idaho one day. And they came back the next year. They invited me over to Idaho to come and learn about and see this other side of agriculture. So I went to Idaho for over 10 days, stayed with different farmers, learning about their daily activities. But my eye-opening moment really came when I was on one of these farms. The farmer's name is Drew. And Drew was telling me about his daily activities. And he showed me this tractor. And this tractor was just tilling the soil. And at that moment, I realized that the amount of time that it took for that tractor to till the soil, which was 5 minutes, was equivalent to the amount of time my entire family took for a week. Like it was the equivalent amount of work that we did for an entire week. And to me, that tractor became a symbol of resources, a symbol of ideas, a symbol of goodwill, a symbol of expertise that exists here in the US that, if connected in a meaningful way to communities like mine in Cameroon, Liberia, Uganda, we could really make a huge difference or make a dent in that fight against hunger and poverty. So when I left Idaho, came back to the state of Maryland, I had one goal in mind. How can I connect students? How can I connect experts? How can I connect resources that exist here in the US to farming communities in Africa? We started as a student club at the University of Maryland, video conferencing with students at another university in Liberia called LICC. So during this video conferencing call, we were identifying challenges that farmers were facing, developing solutions to those challenges. Then eventually we fundraised, traveled over to Liberia to implement some of those solutions. In Liberia, we visited villages like Peng, Beming, Flompa, and we're providing training on pest management, soil health, value-added agriculture. We trained over 400 farmers while we were there. And when we left, we came back. We worked with faculty specialists at the university to help us develop a course that students are actually going through that same experience right now, but gaining credit for it. We've opened other clubs. So now we have 2 clubs or 2 chapters in Liberia, 2 chapters in Uganda as well. And all of these clubs are all working together and interacting with each other. We also became a nonprofit, a 501c3 organization, and we continue to grow. So that's just like a brief intro of who Roots Africa is and some of the things we've done.
I think that's amazing. How just this idea you see this tractor and realize how much that tractor could do compared to what your family was doing physically on a farm, over 6 farms, right? And how you've taken that and helped to found Roots Africa with just this goal of educating from one country to the other countries. I think that's wonderful. So I know at the heart of it that you believe that food can be the true evil in society. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, so I have a very, very complicated relationship with food. I love food so much, I really do. But I understand what the ills that the lack of food can cause in a community. But just to tell you how much I love food, I almost became a priest, right? Because every day when I was heading to school, there will always be this wonderful smell of egg just coming from the parish priest's house. So in my mind, I'm like, if I become a priest, I get to have eggs every morning like that, then like, why shouldn't I become a priest? Then at another time, I almost became a Muslim because I realized that during Ramadan, forgetting that these people fast all day, I realized that in the evening, they had this whole feast, like there was a lot of food. So I'm like, man, I need to become a Muslim. I actually started learning their prayers, trying to fast with them. But that ended because my mother is like a really good Christian. So she was like, there's no way you're becoming a Muslim in my house. Then I know if there were Jewish people around me, I would have probably I would have probably tried to become a Jewish person if they had a lot of food in their religion as well. So that's just to tell you how much I love food. But on the other hand, the lack of food has really brought the darker side of food in my life. In Cameroon, I went to a boarding school, and When I say boarding school, I know you're going to confuse it. You're going to think this is like the boarding school in the US. No, this is a place that is nothing short like of prison, right? It's where they send the stubborn kids to go and get discipline. So that's my boarding school, just to put it in context. And in that boarding school, I went through it. The hunger I felt in that place was unimaginable. I ate the peelings of oranges that somebody else had eaten. I picked up food on the table and ate it. I went out to the village and begged for food. And I was not the only one that went through this ordeal, right? My classmates and others went through the same ordeal, or maybe worse. Throughout my education at that institution, I always thought I knew my classmates. I always thought I understood them. But I knew, and I had my judgment of them, like my assumption of them. I knew that one was a liar. I knew another stole. I knew that one was selfish. But then once we graduated from school and I went back home, I went to visit one of these guys that I know was really selfish. And he decided to pay my transport to come back home. And that kind of like really break one of my beliefs. Like I knew this guy would never do this when we are in school. So what's happening? The guy that I thought was a liar started telling some truth. The guy that was a thief started confessing. And to me, I started looking at it from another perspective. Like what had changed? It wasn't that long ago that we graduated. They were not rich and the environment was not that different. So what changed? And the only thing that I could pinpoint was that we were now home with our families and we could at least have some food from our parents and our mom, and it's not the same as when we are back in school. And that to me really was a moment of epiphany where I started seeing what the lack of food could cause, not just for my high school students. Take, for example, a little kid growing up in a village in Cameroon, that every day when they wake up, they cannot guarantee their next meal or they're hungry. What happens when that kid finds food? They're going to fight as much as possible. They're going to hoard as much as possible. If you try to get in their way, they're going to fight you to make sure that they have enough food. So now you see, we are growing. When this kid grows up and become a leader, they're going to do what they've always done. You cannot come to them and tell them, like, hey, you cannot be corrupt anymore. They've always been corrupt. So when you build a nation of hungry people, you build a corrupt nation. You build a nation that people are always fighting. You build these ills that exist in the society, which is, to me, is one of the things where at times we look out in the society and we're trying to treat the symptoms of some of the ills that we find in the society, whereas we have to also be looking at what is the cause of these ills. How do we build better citizens by providing them with their bare necessities? So that's one of the key drivers that really led me as well to be as passionate about food and passionate about Roots Africa.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. It is so true that if someone's hungry and they get that little bit of food, they're definitely going to fight for it. And if that's their whole life, it's going to change their whole perspective on values, and they're not going to, if someone's trying to give them an education, they're not going to be able to focus or try to understand that education. So I also agree with you that just looking at this cause and what is the fundamental cause and not just focusing on symptoms. And the fundamental cause is we need these societies to make sure they're feeding their people. And that is so important. And that's why I love what Roots Africa is doing. So give us, you've told me some great stories about some of the things Roots Africa has done. You told me a story, I believe, in Liberia with a papaya. Tell us a little more about that.
Okay. So right now, there are two main projects that we are focused on. So we have the Papaya Project. This is in partnership with two other organizations, Kenyan Papayas Limited and Day Africa. And our goal is really to make sure that the farmer in Uganda or Kenya is able to make at least $250 to $350 every month. That could be life-changing for a local farmer. So with this project, we've come into an agreement with this company that processes papaya into papaya jam. And we are training farmers, or we will be training more farmers on how to grow papaya effectively, how to grow high quality papaya. And once they do, this company is willing and ready to buy all of this papaya from From our estimates, these farmers will start making a livable income that will be able to support them and ensure that they have a better livelihood. The second program that we're working on, which is really exciting for us, came as a result of COVID. I'm sure everybody has adjusted and twisted around due to COVID.
Right.
And once COVID hit, we could not meet with our students. They were not on campus. They were spread all over the country. And we had two options. We could wait for COVID to go away, which by now we know that would have been a mistake because it has not gone away. So we started video conferencing with our students. We trained them how to use Zoom. We trained some of them how to identify what the Zoom icon is. And we were video conferencing with students in these remote areas in Uganda and Liberia, trying to figure out what can we do right now. And over time, we realized that students started reaching out to us. Some will reach out, they'll ask for, hey, I need a training material, or hey, I need advice on how to train other farmers on doing X, Y, and Z. And to us, we knew that we could support them. Every time they reached out with a request, I always thought, yes, I think I can support you. But one of our themes was that we only work with students in a group. But we realized that these students are already making a huge difference. You have students working with 20 farmers, you have students working with 15 farmers. So they're already making a huge difference. So we should figure out a way to support them. So when we realized that we could help 5, 6, 7 students, we realized that we could do more. So we decided to launch this Roots Africa Bootcamp, where we brought together about 7 experts in the US and in Africa. And these experts are virtually training these students on Saturdays for a 6-week period. During the week, these students go out and apply the knowledge that they're learning. We brought, for our first cohort, we brought together 60 students. And all of these 60 students have committed that they'll go out and train 10 farmers each. So if each of our 60 students go out and train 10 farmers, we train 600 right then and there. And when I say training, I'm not just saying, hey, go and deliver one workshop. It's actually going to a farmer that you know in your community and holding their hand throughout the growing season. Be it whether you're teaching them about entrepreneurship, whether you're teaching them about soil health, whether you're teaching them about record keeping, whatever that thing that you know very well and that the farmers need, you will be delivering that to them. We are providing, what really sets this program apart is we are actually providing these students with the credit to attend these meetings. And then secondly, we are providing them with a $50 amount that will cover their costs to go out into the field for phone calls and transportation. This is the magnitude of what that $50 does is that eventually that student trains 10 farmers. So eventually we are training each farmer at about $3 per farmer investment cost. This program, we think there is a chance for, yes, train the trainer model, Julie. That's exactly what it is about. Eventually, we hope to work with governments, we hope to work with institutions where they will actually require their students, like, hey, before you graduate, you should go out and train 10 farmers. If we had these students in my community in Cameroon reaching out to my mom or reaching out to us and telling us like, hey, Cedric, you know, if you plant your corn in a straight row, you'll get more yield. You know, if you use this type of seed, it will be better. You know, maybe this is how you do compost differently. That would have changed our life. That would have improved our yield. So to us, we want to make sure that these students, once they gain this knowledge, they can spread it out in their community. So those are the 2 programs that we are focused on.
That is so wonderful. Let me go back and restate a couple things. One is in your papaya jam, you stated that $250 a month is life-changing for these farmers. And as Americans, that's really hard for us to understand. So I think that's a good point to make. And then second point on the same lines is the students that you're helping in these countries, $50, they can train 10 farmers.
Some of them are doing it without the $50. So we are really just encouraging them and pushing them forward.
Yeah. So that's just amazing. And then this whole idea, you know, COVID, you're right. So we had to rethink things. So here you rethought things, you you created this program, got these students to go out and reach out in their communities. And like you said, the first one was 60 kids helping 10 farmers each. And now your idea is just to keep growing that, right?
Absolutely. And talking about what we did during COVID, just adjusting and talking about the magnitude of what $1 is worth in a country like Uganda or Liberia, and putting it in context, I'm talking about remote areas. In the cities, it's a lot more expensive. But when COVID started, we continued our video conferencing, and we wanted to help our students and farmers because their governments had the strictest lockdown regulations without providing the resources for them to survive while in lockdown. So our students came together. We figured out that $5 could keep our student's family or a farmer's family at home for 1 week by providing them with their bare necessities. So it could provide them with some rice, it could get them some oil, it could get them some sugar, it could get them some milk, and they could at least stay home without worrying too much about what will we eat the next day. So we decided that we're not going to keep them at home only for 1 week. We'll keep them at home for 4 weeks. So our goal was to raise $20,000 to provide $20 to 1,000 families. So far, we've distributed $20 to 713 families, and this has really built a community or a sense of trust among the people that we work with. They know that during a crisis, when the going gets hard, we are always going to be there with them and supporting them.
I think that's wonderful. Cedric, I'm going to put up your foundation name, Roots of Africa, so our listeners can go out and check that out afterwards. And I just want them to know that there's opportunities on there to sign up for volunteering, helping out. The organization is a charity, so as you can see, a few dollars can go a long way. So you can donate on that page if you're interested. But go out and educate yourself on by taking a look at the website. I know something really exciting happened recently. You wrote a chapter for a book called Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing. It's the volume 4, and our friend Laura DeFranco has helped pull all that together. Tell us a little bit about, you wrote a chapter for the book. A bunch of authors collaborated on this. Tell us about that experience. Tell us about your chapter.
Oh, man. The first thing I would say is, if you think you cannot write, or you don't want to write, or you're afraid to write, don't talk to Laura. Laura will get you writing, right? When I joined the Bethesda Success Champions Network, I did not know I could contribute to a book. I did not know I wanted to write anything. By now, Laura has gotten me to write a blog in the Bethesda magazine. And now I'm writing a chapter in this amazing book with incredible authors, truly life-changing. From the first chapter to the last chapter when it comes out, I'm so excited just to learn all what these people know and they've brought together. And for me, I took the agricultural bent, right? I call myself an agricultural evangelist. So I want to encourage people to start their own garden. But not just starting their own gardens, but starting your garden with intentionality, right? You could start a garden anytime, but there is power in the aspect of you growing your own food. There is innovation in that as well. When you sit and watch a plant grow and you contributed to the growth of that plant, you were able to bring something out of nothing. There is power in that. That shows you that if you can let that plant grow and blossom, you can create any business out there. You can address any challenge out there. But there is also power in the aspect that you grow your own food with intentionality. You grow it with love. When you consume that food, you consume love. You consume potentiality. So that's what my chapter talks about. But trust me, my chapter is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many incredible authors in there, and you need to check it out.
I'm really looking forward to it. So right now, just for our audience knows, the book hasn't come out yet. It's coming out shortly. We'll definitely put a link I'll definitely post a link on my page when it's available. And like Cedric is one of 24 authors that all pulled together on this self-healing, and definitely agree that just gardening, going out there. I love the garden, but mine is more flowers and ornamental than food. But I still love that nurturing, and yeah, it definitely is very fulfilling to go out and do that as well. So Cedric, we're going to wrap it up here, but what final words do you have for our audience?
I think one of the guiding philosophies that I really have in my life, and I hope you adopt this in some way, shape, or form, is this quote by Martin Luther King that states, I have the audacity to believe that people everywhere could have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, justice, equality, and freedom for their spirit. I think that is just the embodiment of who we should be, what we should aspire to be, and how we should be serving our community. So thank you for having me. You told me 30 minutes will go by fast. I did not know how fast it was going to go.
Yes, it always goes by so fast. It's so nice having these conversations. But I love your quote from Martin Luther King, and I hope with this past year, everybody had to reset a little bit, rethink about what our priorities are, and hopefully we can show more love, millions of ways to do that. But I really enjoy having you on my show, and thank you, Julie, saying congratulations on your chapter, and some thumbs up and some love out there.
Thank you.
But but thank you so much for being here. You are such an inspiration. Really hope you do continue to do well and get your message out there. Happy to be able to help you do that. Thanks to our audience for joining in. If anybody has any comments or questions, please put them in, post them, and we'll follow up and answer those. But thank you all for joining us tonight. Come back again next Sunday, and we'll have another episode of Let's Get Distracted to educate you on something health and wellness related. Thank you, and good night.
Good night. Bye, guys.